for May 9th. Sorry we're joining you a few minutes late, as we just had a work session to discuss briefly the budget that we're going to go through this evening. We talked about road projects and what was the third one? Baseball concession stand. So no further ado, I'd like everyone to rise. Vice Mayor Freeman will say our invocation and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let's bow our heads, please. Dear God, we ask you to be with us tonight, help us and guide us as we conduct the city business. Be with our military wherever they're serving, especially overseas. And we generally ask for your guidance and thought. In Christ's sake, amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. We're at the portion of the meeting for audience for visitors, and this is a time for anybody that would like to speak to council about any subject. Come to the diocese and please state your name and your address and tell us what you'd like. We're not having a separate public hearing tonight on the budget, so if you're here to discuss the budget, now is the time to do that as well. Yes, sir.
Members of council, I'm not a real good speaker. It's the first time I've been in this council chamber in my life. I've lived here all my life. What I was concerned about is the boat tax in the city of Poquoson. I don't know if y'all realize this, but in the city of Hampton, to have a $100,000 boat costs them $2 per year. In the city of Norfolk, it's 50 cents per 100, which equals to $1,000 per year. The same thing with Portsmouth. In Newport News, per 100, it'll cost between $1,800 and $2,000 a year for the boat. In York County, it's $1 per 100. Now we had $1.50 already, and as is 50 cents more than any of the surrounding localities. It's kind of hard, when you try to rent slips like I do. I'm the owner of York Marina, and we have slips down there, and we're probably now at about 60% occupancy. And I know it's a whole lot less down at the Messick Point. I guess that's something that the city is involved in, and I've never seen. I go down all the time. I've never seen on 5 or 6 boats down there at any one given time. And one of the reasons being is because our tax rate is so high compared to the surrounding localities. I mean, if you go jump from $3,000 a year here, and you got a $100,000 boat, and you can go to Hampton, put the same boat there for $2 per year. That's a heck of a lot of difference. That's something that we really need to think about. And another thing, getting away from the boat issue is for the increase in the tax rate. And I know that the economy is down and everything, and people don't have the money that they had in the past. Reassessments came out, and my house did come down lower. But if y'all pass 11% increase, then the tax is not going to change, for me. And probably y'all too. Y'all sitting on the board, and y'all all probably own homes here in Poquoson, and it's expensive to live here. And we enjoy one of the best school systems in the whole city, and that's good. And we have a lot of good things in Poquoson that make people want to come here and live here and stay here. I've been a resident of Poquoson for 61 years, all my life, minus my time at college and in the United States Navy. But I came back to Poquoson, and I came back here because I felt like that this was a good place to live and raise my children, and I have, and I guess they've turned it okay, But the decrease in the tax rate, my house dropped, but if you decrease the tax rate, the assessment, and then you increase the tax rate, we haven't gained anything as far as what we as citizens are going to have to pay to be able to be a member of the community of Poquoson. So I'd just like you all to reconsider that a little bit, if you will, and especially the boat tax, because the one down at we spent a lot of money, and I can't tell you the exact figures, but I can look that up if somebody would really want to know, down at Messick Point in that boat dock down there. And there's hardly 5% occupancy down there, and it's always been like that. And one of the major reasons being is because that tax rate is so high compared to other, surrounding localities. So, just, if y'all will try to think about that. And I know it's not a whole lot of people in Poquoson here that rent slips. Carpenter used to be one, which he doesn't. I don't think they have much over the place that he, sold to Brown. There's not much there. And the Inslee boy, he's just got his place basically. Went out. He bought it from Al Hart's, and that's basically done there for him. So he's got a few slips, but we try to make our living and try to pay our taxes all on time, and we pay y'all really good money, for 6 months. I mean, on a year's time, man, probably more than most people making a year. That's what we just pay in tax just to be able to have our business here in Poquoson. So appreciate if y'all think about it, and hope everything goes along fine.
Yes, sir. Could I just get your name?
Does anybody want to have? My name is Emery Moore.
Okay.
I own y'all Cape Marina in Poquoson in the Browns Neck Road.
Thank you so much for your comments.
That's the first time I've done this, so if you got any questions, anybody wants to ask anything,
no, sir.
fire off.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming.
Okay.
And thank you for bringing that up.
Yes, sir.
I
Thank you.
appreciate that. Anyone else?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council members. My name is Toller Nolly, and I'm the founder of the Oyster Company of Virginia, and we have just recently leased a property at 146 Forest Drive, which we've been actually going in and rehabbing and putting new garage doors and cleaning it up for the members around the residence area so they can see that this will be a very quiet and an upscale project. And I wanted to thank council for several weeks ago when there was a little misinformation that was going on about our company and about this particular lease that was around the Beach Road area. And I wanted to assure you all that as we go through our process, it is our company's mission and its intention, and we will honor this intention, that we will in no way put cages in shallow waters or in areas where they will conflict with the community, the recreational value, or the safety, health, and welfare of your communities. We want to be a part of your community. I have thoroughly enjoyed meeting a lot of the people over the past several months and look forward to giving a formal presentation when you all are ready to hear it. I've actually brought a small trailer with the cages in case the public came in here this evening so that they could actually get an idea to see what one of these oyster cages looks like, and actually had it compared to a crab pot, which I think we've all seen for many decades. And actually the profile of the oyster cage is actually much less than the crab cage, and I actually had that out there for the public to see. But be that as it may, I again wanted to say hello, wanted to let you know that as we move forward, I've given Vicki some cups for each one of the council members, and since Mayor Hunt was drinking some heavy coffee this evening in the work session, I've left him a coffee mug so that it actually has our website at www.oysterva.com. And our mission is to help the watermen that want to move from the hunter-gatherer to the aquaculture farmer be given the financial tools and to be given the resources and the support to achieve that, because it's too important for Virginia to lose its watermen's heritage and culture. They are some of the fabric of what has been Virginia since we landed here in the 1600s. And I think it's very important for us to step back and understand that there's a symbiotic relationship between the health of the bay, our recreational and viability of the waters that we all share, as well as for the watermen who actually earn their living on a day-to-day basis. And our mission is to help return the native Virginia oyster, not the non-native Ariokensis or any other diverted species, except for the native Virginia oyster. And you'll see that on our seal. So again, I wanted to thank you. And again, the community has been very kind to our company and to the people that we've met. And we'll just look forward to seeing how we can help support and be a part of your wonderful community. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Excuse me, your name again, sir?
Toller. It's an old 16th century English word that means tax gatherer or toll collector. So I'll leave that up to you. But as a VMI graduate, I have to stand tall. And as a St. Christopher's graduate, and again, thank you for your kind words. We actually lost one of our VMI soldiers last week, as well as another gentleman from the area that I knew. So I knew both of those gentlemen. So it was a tragic loss, but I'm glad that we've ended a chapter in our history. So again, God bless you, and thank you very much.
Just one question. You gave your address as 146 Forest Drive. Are you going to, what's going on at that location?
Right now, we're cleaning up.
Is that the
particular,
pier?
It's a wharf, yes, sir. It's a wharf part of a pier. And what we're going to do is then work with the building inspector's office and planning and zoning. There's already a particular zoning that's there, but the reality is we're not really going to be doing much there. If we decide to move forward with the leases and to have those oysters brought to a particular wharf area, those oysters would simply be cleaned and be repackaged and sent out as whole oysters. There would not be any shucking or any major noise or any of that. It would just simply be a transportation area, which it's been used as in the past. And that's really it. I think the more you learn about the Oyster Company of Virginia, you're going to find that we're not a big company. We have a big goal as being part of the solution. And what we're providing is this program using the private sector and not going after public grants or funding as the way to achieve our goal. We've put a financial business matrix around the oyster because it actually has the capability to provide a nutrient reduction value. And because of the science of VIMS and William & Mary and Virginia Tech and those institutions who have studied this for a long time, we simply took this value and we added that value to the oyster as a way to engage the private sector to mitigate their TMDLs as part of their nutrient reduction loadings for each one of the watersheds in Virginia. So you see the oyster, it's not just the commodity value of selling it, but it's the most fundamental filtration device for in situ nutrient reduction. And the bottom line is the more oysters we can put into the bay, then the healthier and the balance that we can provide not only for fish and reef habitat, but also for oyster restoration and for the commercial value. So again, this has been an exciting journey for me, and at the proper time, when you all are ready to see our PowerPoint presentation, we'll be delighted to give it to the public. We'll be delighted to share it with you. And again, I just thank you all, each one of you all, for taking time to listen. And my phone is open to you all 24/7. If you have any questions, you can pick up the phone and call me. I'm always available.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Mayor, Council. My name's Olivia Griebel. I live at 46 Shoreline Drive in Poquoson. I, too, am a resident and have been a resident of the city of Poquoson all of my life. I spoke a couple of weeks ago when we met regarding the budget and what I feel is an exorbitant rate increase, which represents about a 13.5% increase. So I spent a little bit of time today just checking with other localities to see what other localities are doing, because they've all been affected by the same issues that the city of Poquoson has been affected by. I polled the 7 jurisdictions today, which include York County, Newport News, Hampton, Suffolk, Chesapeake, Virginia Beach, and Norfolk. Of those 7, only 1 jurisdiction is having a tax rate increase. Everyone else has managed somehow to avoid a tax increase. Virginia Beach had recommended, the city manager had recommended a 2 cents increase from 89 to 91, and it was voted down by the council. I take a look at that. They've all suffered in a downward turn in reassessments. Everybody is suffering from the same issues. As I said last time, the citizens are suffering from the same issues that the council is suffering from. And I just feel like that the council really needs to take a hard look and see where that can be streamlined. I think an 11-cent tax rate is outrageous in this time, this economic time that we're in. And when 6 other jurisdictions around us can do it without any increase, and only one have an increase, then I think that council should take a hard look at what they can do to streamline this budget. I spoke with York County today. They're at .6575 per 100. That means York County is our biggest competition in the city of Poquoson. I'm a realtor. I've been a realtor for many, many years. I stay in touch with the real estate market. I know what's going on in the market. I know what's going on with assessments. I work in assessments. I'm the manager of real estate assessments for the city of Hampton. So I am very in tune to what's going on. I'm in tune to the issues that the council faces with the city. But I look at York County as being our major competitor for housing in this area. York County has a newer housing stock. They're continuing to build, while Poquoson's housing stock is continuing to age with very, very little new construction anywhere. I know that Oakmore, which was a development that was online, they backed off of. I know that the subdivision down off Pasture Road, and I don't recall the name of it, they ran into economic difficulty apparently. I know that Randy Sarfin, who is a builder, has just bought 5 lots in there at $75,000 apiece, and they're assessed at $126,000. That tells me something. I also know Pickens Lane, which is down in front of our property, was under contract for probably over a year. It never went to settlement. And now they've reduced the value again. The whole time it was under contract pending, it was on the market, it was steadily marketed, and there were no takers. And now the whole deal has gone down. So I go back to York County again, and I look at this and I say, well, I talked to the realtors. I know what's going on in the market. A lot of people are shy of coming into Poquoson anymore because of the severe flooding that we've had in the past and the damage that occurred. And the realtors say because people don't want to look in Poquoson anymore. York County schools are excellent. I raised my children for a time in York County schools when I first got married, and those schools are excellent. So I look at a $500,000 home in the city of Poquoson. Based on a 91 cents tax rate, you're looking at $4,550. The same $500,000 home in York County would be $3,287, which is a difference of $1,263 a year and $105 a month. Now you tell me where you're going to go. Most of you, a lot of you, are natives of Poquoson and probably are never going to leave Poquoson, just like me. Or if you do, it's for a short period of time. But those of us that have lived here all our lives would like to be able to stay here for the rest of our lives. And at this rate, every time the assessments go down and the council tries to compensate that by increasing the tax rate, you're not helping the citizens at all. And I feel like the citizens are the ones that support this community, and if you're not looking out for the citizens and their pocketbooks as well, then I think it's time to take a real hard look at that. Another thing I'd like to say right now on the market, I just pulled some statistics right before I left today. Currently, there are 103 listings in the city of Poquoson right now. They range from $99,500, which is a 660 square foot house, to $1,299,000, which is a 5,200 square foot house. The median list price is $395,000. Now, there was a time when Poquoson was a hot market, and 103 listings on the market was unheard of. But it's not unheard of today. And this is the reality of what we're facing today. So I went back and I ran some other statistics just to get an idea. Between May 9th, 2010 and May 9th, 2011, which is today, the median sale price in the city of Poquoson was $272,274. The year preceding that, which was May 9, to May 9, 2010, the median price was $284,750. Prior to that, it was $314. It has steadily gone down, and it's steadily going down. And it's time for the council to recognize that the city of Poquoson citizens, the residents, cannot support the taxes that you're asking them to burden. And I feel like that Poquoson, being a bedroom community, is what it's always been called. And I think that council needs to recognize that The citizens cannot share the burden or not bear the burden of the major tax increase with very little commercial incentives in this area. And I think that I would like to see council take a harder look as well at trying to get commercial in here, and once you get them in here and get them interested in it, is trying to keep them here. Because I know in times past, as I said, I've been in the real estate industry all my life, and I've seen a lot of ups and downs here, experienced them personally with commercial properties in the city of Poquoson. Most of y'all know that my father was a real estate person and owned commercial property, and we've seen commercial ventures come in and then literally pushed out of the city of Poquoson. And most of you have been here a long time. You know the properties that I'm speaking of, and you know the property owners that I'm speaking of. But I think that council needs to take a hard look at getting a commercial tax base in this city, because the citizens, the residences, cannot continue to support this kind of increase. So I ask the council, again, to please reconsider what I consider to be an exorbitant tax rate. I know no one's here to speak against it tonight, as you can see. And I think the reason is because most people say, well, just like I spoke to someone in the audience tonight, said, well, my assessment went down. Yeah, the rate's going to go up, but my taxes aren't going to increase. Everybody's, I think, just so thankful that their taxes aren't going to increase that nobody's out here speaking against this exorbitant tax rate. And I do think it's an exorbitant tax rate increase. A 13.5% tax rate increase over last year, I think, is exorbitant. So I ask the council again to please rethink this rate increase and go back to the drawing board. If other cities can do it in this area, then I think the city of Poquoson can do it. And I think we're sending the wrong message to people that are prospecting in Poquoson, looking to move to Poquoson. I think we're sending the wrong message when they can go to neighboring York County, less than a mile away, and buy just as nice a home and just as nice a school for $100 less a month. So I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Gruber. Anyone else? Okay. Now I'll close the audience for visitors, and we'll move into approval of the minutes.
Mayor, I move that we approve the minutes of the regular session, April 25th, 2011.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded. No comments. Judy?
Councilman Green.
Aye.
Councilman Bernal.
Aye.
Councilman Krieger.
Aye.
Councilman Southall.
Aye.
Councilwoman Crawford.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Freeman.
Aye.
Mayor Hunt.
Aye.
Mr. Mayor, the motion carried by a vote of 7-0.
Okay, thank you. And the work session of April 25th?
Mayor, make a motion we approve the 5 p.m. Work session held on April 25th, 2011.
Is there a second?
Second.
Comments? Okay, if not, Judy, please.
Councilwoman Crawford.
Aye.
Councilman Krieger.
Aye.
Councilman Southall.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Freeman.
Aye.
Councilman Bernal.
Aye.
Councilman Green.
Aye.
And Mayor Hunt.
Aye.
Mr. Mayor, the motion carried by a vote of 7-0.
Thank you. And finally, a motion on the second work session on April 25th?
Mr. Mayor, make a motion we approve the 6 p.m. work session held on April 25th, 2011.
Second.
Okay. Questions or comments? If not, Judy, please.
Councilman Krieger.
Aye.
Councilwoman Crawford.
Aye.
Councilman Green.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Freeman.
Aye.
Councilman Southall.
Aye.
Councilman Bernal.
Aye.
And Mayor Hunt.
Aye.
Mr. Mayor, the motion carried by a vote of 7-0.
Okay. And next on the agenda are a pair of public hearings. The first one being receipt of written bids for the 10-year lease of publicly owned property located at Messick Point.
Judy's going to handle this for us, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor, we should ask if there are any other bids in the audience to be submitted at this time. At your April 11th council meeting, you instructed staff to advertise your intent to receive written bids for a 10-year lease agreement of the publicly owned property at Messick Point for the purpose of managing the pier and leasing the boat slips. We did that advertisement, and in the advertisement, we requested that bids be received by no later than 7 p.m. tonight at the meeting, and that at such time we would open the bids received. We did receive one bid and I have that bid here, and it has not been opened. There is a cover letter on the bid. The bid is received from Port Messick LLC, and they have submitted 2 copies of their lease agreement that we referenced in our advertisement. I think possibly there are representatives in the office, in the audience tonight to address it. This appears to be similar, if not the same bid that had been presented to you previously, upon which we published the ad in the paper. So it's the same bid that was submitted previously
Okay.
and submitted tonight.
Thank you. So we have a bid for lease of publicly owned property located at Messick Point, that is being the boat slips at the end of Messick Point, and open a public hearing. And if there's anyone who would like to speak in favor of or opposed to that operation, please come and speak. Okay. It's my desire as mayor to not basically move too fast in this regard. I would like to leave, with the consent of council, I'd like to leave the public hearing open until our next meeting. Any dissent? There's a reason. Basically, my desire is to over-advertise, just like we did with the budget. Give people plenty of time to see the guts of it. Basically, Brandy's repetitive thing on the budget. So very similar to here. We've gone down, we've advertised, we've now received bids, we have had a public hearing, but I didn't want anybody, just because they didn't know it was on the agenda this evening, to miss the opportunity to speak. So what I'd like to do is leave it open, if we could, one more 2-week period, and then close it.
Mr. Mayor? I would certainly hope that we would not go any further than that, because I think we've put these gentlemen off long enough.
Agree.
Yes.
Question for you. Since the period for accepting bids is over with, and this is the only bid that we have received, okay, in order to have the public hearing open, will the terms of the bid be made public?
The terms
That's
of
the purpose of it.
Yes.
So that they can review the bid received.
Okay.
But the bid is closed.
Yes.
Yes.
Correct. Okay.
Not receiving any more bids, but in fact are going to leave the public hearing open.
And we're going to take action at the next
Yes,
council
sir.
meeting. Very good.
Do we need a motion to that effect?
A motion to leave it open.
Mayor, I move that we postpone action on this item until our next meeting
And to continue the public hearing.
and continue the public hearing.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Motion made and seconded. Discussion? Okay. Not, Judy?
Okay. Councilman Southall,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Freeman,
Aye.
Councilman Bernal,
Aye.
Councilman Green,
Aye.
Councilman Krieger,
Aye.
Councilwoman Crawford,
Aye.
and Mayor Hunt.
Aye.
Mr. Mayor, the motion carried by a vote of 7-0. And I will say that the bid will be in the city manager's office for anyone that wants to review that, and I'll provide each of you council members a copy tomorrow.
Can you just put it on the web
Yes, we
page?
can.
Thank you. Okay. All right, second item under public hearings is school board appointments. And this is a public hearing in which to receive names.
Yes, sir. You have received indications of interest from William K. Smith, who is the current school board member from the Western Precinct, and also Mr. David Hucks. In addition, you have a continuing expression of interest from Mr. Gary Carter Jr., who is the current incumbent from the Central Precinct. The purpose of this hearing is to solicit comments and suggestions for other persons that may want to consider. Also, is appropriate if either or any of those three individuals would like to address the council, that would be appropriate as well.
Okay. With that information, I'd like to open the public hearing. and school board appointments. Anybody prepared to speak? Okay, if not, I'll close the public hearing and ask that we
Schedule it for next time.
schedule this for next time for the formal appointment. And now we move to unfinished business, and this would be the second reading and final adoption of the fiscal year 2011-2012 annual financial plan. Randy, you want to do a short presentation?
We hadn't planned on it, though perhaps one thing that would be useful for those that have been following us in the process is to review the one modification that you made earlier in work session. What's before the council for consideration this evening is the proposed city manager's proposed budget, and that has been available extensively on the internet and the TV channel and in the library, and was the subject of at least one mailing. But the modification that was discussed by the City Council and has been contained in your revised ordinances this evening is to strike the proposed reduction, or strike the proposed increase in the solid waste fee. As the Council will recall, that fee is structurally imbalanced by an amount of $72,100. Stemming from the Council's previous discussion earlier this evening, we have substituted general fund reserve in place of the proposed fee increase, and that is the only modification that staff is aware of at this point.
Okay. Any comments, or want to make a motion and then do comments?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we adopt a resolution approving the adoption of the proposed FY 2011-2012 annual financial plan for the city of Poquoson, Virginia.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded, and I'm sure there will be some discussion on this, so at least to address some of the issues. So anybody prepared to speak, or y'all want to move straight to a vote?
I'd like, not for, so much for this year, but for next year, for us to look at our tax levy that we put on watercraft, and like Mr. Moore had said, to bring us, and maybe even the other areas that we charge, that we are more in alliance with our local, communities around us, York County, because, or Hampton, Newport News, whatever. Like Mr. Moore said, 50 cents on a $100,000 boat can add a lot to a bill. So that's something, Mr. Manager, City Manager, if you could look at.
Mr. Krueger, I already have that written down.
What do you have written down? Well,
Anticipating your comment.
Additionally, I'd like to know about what watercraft bring in to the city budget.
That'll be part of the analysis. What I'll do, I'll provide it for you soon, and then we'll re-bring it up with the next process, is a list of sort of all the secondary tax rates and what they generate. And then we'll do a comparison of our peninsula neighbors, if nothing else, what their tax rates are.
Might help us and generate some water business.
Okay. Would it be agreeable to council to visit it before the next budget season, if the figures are?
I believe the tax rates are annualized, so I'm not sure that you can. Once you set it, I think you've got to revisit it until the next time around.
You can't adjust it?
I don't believe you can adjust an annualized tax rate during the course of the year.
But we should surely look at
I
it.
defer to the commissioner.
The question is, would they like to consider adjusting the boat tax rate at another time prior to the next fiscal year budget? And the answer is it's an annualized budget, and does not appear that we can adjust that once we take action this evening.
Having said that, you could adjust it prospectively, meaning with the next fiscal year, you could deal with that early, but you won't be able to deal with it in the context of the fiscal year budget that you're considering now. Sorry if that was confusing.
Yeah. All right. Any other comments or suggestions? Well, basically just comments. Okay, I've got a few. Probably to address the public in general about the budget. Definitely, this is the fourth straight year of what I call very difficult budget times for the city of Poquoson. And comparing, one of the speakers tonight compared us to a county. A county is basically their transportation, their roads, and their sheriff's department is paid for by the state. So that comes right out of their tax rate. I will tell you that the city of Poquoson used to have an annualized tax rate of $1.12. That $1.12 was lowered by the council that I sat on in 2004. We lowered it at the time when the real estate market took off. Basically, when record profits were being made, when people were selling real estate, buying and selling real estate within the day. Instead of taking advantage of that time within our city, we actually took the opposite tact. Now, maybe that works out for us today, or maybe it does not. But the tact that the city took at that time, and I think they're the one that set the tone for the decisions that I make on a daily basis, are the control of spending. We did not increase our spending as a city when the real estate market was hot. Instead, we held the line, and we lowered the tax rate from $1.12 to 81 cents. That's a pretty darn good jump, pretty good rate decrease. On the backside of that, because we didn't take advantage of the taxpayers, had we just left the rate or not come down quite as far as we could have, should, or did, but instead had selected another rate, then maybe we would have padded the budget of the city of Poquoson. But we certainly would not have helped the taxpayers of the city of Poquoson at that time. Today, we're looking at a 12.5% drop in real estate value. First time I can remember in my career as a councilman that values within the city have come down. Magically, they did not come down the same for everyone. And I understand that it's not something that we can deal with to make everybody's personal situation whole. What we can offer is two things. There's two avenues for you to discuss your assessments. If your assessments did not change, the first is to talk to the city assessor and to have a meaningful conversation with some backup, and you could get relief there on the spot. We didn't take advantage of every penny of real estate. We know that there's going to be some disagreements in the assessments. The second is that you can approach the Board of Equalization, which is a board very similar to this council, which is a board of folks that are independent of government, that can look at all those values and make a reasonable adjustment, or may honor your full adjustment. The tax rates of the cities that are truly that we're talking about doing, that we talk about in competition with, but I'll tell you we're not in competition with anybody, is Newport News is $1.10. Hampton is $1.04. Norfolk, I couldn't pull theirs out, and York, I agree, is 0.65 cents. Let's compare ourselves to a county. First, let's compare ourselves to a city. Let's compare ourselves to the city of Newport News. All right, the city of Newport News has waterworks, they have Newport News Shipbuilding, they have many major contributors and employers, and yet their tax rate is $1.10. When you look at this small city and what we do, with the quality of education, with the quality of services, and the quality of what I call value that this staff provides, 92 cents with no business is a bargain. Let me try and put that in a little bit of perspective. When you pay your federal income tax, okay, think about your federal income tax for just a moment. And it's 25%, depending on what bracket you're in, take the average of, let's say 15% of your salary. when you compare that to what a city provides for less than 1%, because 0.92 per 100 is less than 1% of the value of the property. For what less than 1% per year, the value of the property, the city provides to that property roads, drainage, schools, trash collection, ambulance service, fire department, all to the tune of about $28 million, give or take. Of that $28 million, about, it's getting closer to 50% now, goes to the schools. We support those schools because they are our lifeblood. And I do not think Poquoson is second rate to any city or county that surrounds us. I am not going to say that they're our competitor, because they're not. They're just another city. But now let's compare that going back, just trying to give you a little perspective here. A F-22 that flies over your house every day is $146 million. Okay, for $28 million, you see the services that we provide as a city. And I have nothing but high regard for every staff member, every employee, every teacher, every bus driver in the city for providing that type of value for that cost. Our budget is $28 million. You see us every day. See us every day. So I can't feel bad about passing a budget that is actually a tax decrease for the city. It is not necessarily a tax decrease for each and every citizen. I'm sorry, I don't regulate the value of real estate, but it is a tax decrease for the city of Poquoson. And since 2004, the bottom line is we're at fewer employees, fewer teachers. We've cut our budgets. The state has cut our budget of our equal share, and we have still held the line at $28 million. There has been no substantial increase, and so when you take tax rate, it's only one portion of the equation. I can say that you're increasing it by 9 cents, but guess what? I already lowered it from $1.12 to 81. So we're somewhere in the middle. But we have not increased the take of taxes as a city. In fact, we are down about $140,000 in real estate. So in addition to losing about $500,000 from school, from services from the state, from the bad economy which we are suffering in addition, as a city, in addition to our personal lives, I think it's a pretty darn fair budget. And we made it very simple. We did make it as simple as we could. We did a straight, equalized tax rate. We didn't try to do anything fancy. We didn't try to hide anything. It's basically a 12.5% reduction with an equalized rate that would come up short of our original, of last year's budget. So we're operating this city for less than that. Let me tell you something else about York County. York County's personal property tax rate is $4. Ours is $3.85. So we're already operating lower on the personal property side of things. I think we had a very good comment here tonight about boat tax. I think that's escaped most of us, and Mr. Moore, I appreciate you bringing that to us. I really do. And I think this council heard that, and I think we're going to look at that very strongly. But as far as this budget and runaway taxation, that's not it. We're not here for that. So that's all I've got. All right, any other comments? If not, we have a motion made and seconded that we approve the budget. Judy, would you please call the roll?
Councilman Green?
Aye.
Councilman Bernal?
Aye.
Councilman Krieger.
Aye.
Councilman Southall.
Aye.
Councilwoman Crawford.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Freeman.
Aye.
Mayor Hunt.
Aye.
Mr. Mayor, the motion carried by a vote of 7-0.
Okay. Next is an ordinance appropriating funds to the various governmental funds.
Mr. Mayor, make a motion we adopt the ordinance to appropriate funds to the various government funds of the city of Poquoson, Virginia for FY 2011 and 2012.
Second.
Okay. Questions, comments, or concerns? If not, Judy, please call roll.
Councilwoman Crawford.
Aye.
Councilman Krieger.
Aye.
Councilman Southall.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Freeman.
Aye.
Councilman Bernal.
Aye.
Councilman Green.
Aye.
And Mayor Hunt.
Aye.
Mr. Mayor, the motion carried by a vote of 7-0.
Okay. Next would be an ordinance establishing the real estate tax rate.
Mayor, I move that we adopt an ordinance to lay a 92-cent levy per 100 assessed value on all real estate in the city of Poquoson, Virginia for the general operation of the various departments of the city government.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Judy, please.
Councilman Krieger.
Aye.
Councilwoman Crawford.
Aye.
Councilman Green.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Freeman.
Aye.
Councilman Southall.
Aye.
Councilman Bernal.
Aye.
And Mayor Hunt.
Aye.
Mr. Mayor, the motion carried by a vote of 7-0.
And finally, the ordinance establishing the personal property, watercraft, and privately owned camping trailers and motorhome tax rates.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we adopt an ordinance to lay a $4.15 levy on all personal property, a $1.50 levy on all watercraft, a $1.50 levy on all privately owned camping trailers and motorhomes, and a 92-cent levy on all vehicles without motive power used or designed to be used as manufactured homes in the city of Poquoson, Virginia for the general operation of the various departments of the city government.
Second.
I have a question. Yeah, when's the deadline on passing this particular ordinance?
Yeah, Charter says you have 45 days from the day the budget is implemented to either amend the manager's proposed budget or it shall go into effect. So I have to get the calendar out and start counting.
You actually have 40 days.
Was it 40?
Randy,
Sorry.
yes, and I think it's somewhere around the 23rd.
Okay, but
But
it's from
prior
like
to
now plus 40 days is what we're talking
No,
about.
No, sir.
Forward.
From the day it was
From the
introduced.
day it was introduced, 40. So
Yes,
that's
sir.
about now,
But it's
more or
It's
less.
prior to your next meeting.
It's prior to the next meeting.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Councilman Southall.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Freeman.
Aye.
Councilman Bernal.
Aye.
Councilman Green.
Aye.
Councilman Krieger.
Aye.
Councilwoman Crawford.
Aye.
And Mayor Hunt.
Aye.
Mr. Mayor, the motion carried by a vote of 7-0.
Okay. And finally, I'm sorry about I thought the last one was it, but the ordinance revising section 6642 of the city code relative to bi-monthly
We don't
fee.
need that one.
Don't need that one. Okay. That's in the budget.
That was to
Deleted.
with the increase.
Okay.
Since the council passed the budget that did not include it, that planned increase is now no longer in play.
Okay. So the message to the citizens here is that council during its work session said they were not going to increase the solid waste fee.
Right.
Okay. And then under new business, an ordinance amending the city code to adopt the ordinance implementing the credit card convenience fees, second reading. We're still under old business. Is there a motion to adopt this ordinance?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we adopt an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances by revising Chapter 74 pertaining to administrative fees.
Second.
Okay, questions, comments?
I just wanted to take the time to point out that this is not, the city is not making any money on this, but instead we're just passing the fee along to the user.
Correct. And this is basically that if you use your credit card to pay the taxes, that you will pay the fee for using the card to the city.
Right.
It is a flat fee, correct?
Percentage.
Flat percentage.
It's a percentage.
Capped at no more than what our cost was. The law doesn't allow you to, and nor would we want to charge more than.
I thought I remember 250 coming up somewhere.
I think that was for each of the credit card companies, they have different fee structures, and I believe that was one of the credit card companies. It was 250 was it per 100?
Yeah, 2.5%.
I think it's important to note that this doesn't become effective for 30 days, I believe, so that people will have adequate time to be informed of this change in use of credit cards.
Very good.
Good point. It will not take effect, anybody watching, will not take effect until after the June real estate billing. So if you pay your real estate tax bill on time, this will impact you in no way. Okay.
Judy?
Okay, Councilwoman Crawford,
Aye.
Councilman Krieger,
Aye.
Councilman Southall,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Freeman,
Aye.
Councilman Vernal,
Aye.
Councilman Green,
Aye.
and Mayor Hunt.
Aye.
Mr. Mayor, the motion carried by a vote of 7-0.
Okay. Now we're into new business, and this would be the ordinance amending the city code to adopt the 2009 International Building Codes, and this would be the first reading.
Mr. Mayor, staff requests that council consider tabling this item for 2 weeks. Mr. Southall had a number of questions today, which I think we need to pay some attention to, and it'll require a little bit of research. So with the council's indulgence, we would ask that you put this off for 2 weeks.
Absolutely. Can I have a motion to postpone this item?
Mayor, I move that we postpone this item until our next council meeting.
Second. Okay.
Okay. No comments about that. Judy?
Councilman Krieger,
Aye.
Councilwoman Crawford,
Aye.
Councilman Green,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Freeman,
Aye.
Councilman Southall,
Aye.
Councilman Vernal,
Aye.
and Mayor Hunt.
Aye.
Mr. Mayor, the motion carried by a vote of 7-0.
Okay, and we are to comments of the city manager.
Mr. Mayor, I will be brief. The most exciting thing I have is the new advance copy of the Island Tide. Residents should look for these in your mailboxes in the next couple of days. Two of the many of the cutest kids in Poquoson on the front. I wanted to also just share with you and share with the community that we, our police department, along with our neighbors, our state, and our nation, will be taking out all stops and extra enforcement of the seatbelt safety program towards the end of this month into next month. It's important every day, but during that 2-week period, we're going to really step up our enforcement and education efforts to just remind people that this really can make a permanent and lasting difference in your life. And lastly, just to remind you that the Poquoson Business Alliance will be having their after-hours networking social on the 18th. The event starts at 5:30. Our former mayor, Delegate Gordon Helsel, will be the guest speaker. All of you are, of course, invited, and Mr. Gallis and I will be there, and as well as other people from the city. And that's all I have, sir.
Okay. All right, council directives. I'll start down here with Dr. Bernal this evening.
No, nothing this evening.
Okay, thank you,
Quite a
sir.
bit tonight.
Appreciate it. Councilman Green?
Just to echo your comments, Mr. Mayor, that we certainly did not increase this rate lightheartedly or hastily. I think we've, like you said, when the assessments were going through the roof, we kept dropping the tax rate to eliminate the increase and probably kept it artificially low for too long. We knew that this was coming sooner or later. It takes a certain amount of money for this city to operate, and we certainly don't waste any of it. We're on a bare bones budget. The services that our staff and employees provide, they do it at a great expense to them because they don't make as much as the surrounding cities. They work hard. Our school system is excellent. We've got to keep it that way. And we've tried to keep the tax rate so that you're not paying any more taxes. But I don't think anybody in this room or in the city would say that we're going to eliminate the library, the public works, and the Commissioner of Revenue's office just so that we don't raise the taxes. That just does not make fiscal sense. And you cannot do that. And it would compare us with cities that have tremendous business tax base is just not fair. We don't have that luxury. We certainly try to get that luxury, and we will keep on trying to get it. So I think, it's with a heavy heart that we all increased the rate as much as we did. But like I say, we've kept it artificially low for a number of years, and sooner or later, you pay the piper. And I want to thank Randy and his staff for figuring out how to keep it at the bare minimum. They've done a tremendous amount of work, and I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Councilman Krieger?
Yeah, just to add to what you said, Mr. Mayor, and Mr. Green said, if we had raised the tax rate for the last 6 years, a penny a year or 2 cents a year, we could have seen our capital improvement plan have a lot of things completed next to it, instead of keeping it at an 81-cent tax rate for like I say since at least for the last 6 years. So I think we did a good job there. I want to just take a moment to recognize Bill Smith, our school board vice chairman, a key player in the Poquoson Education Foundation, a long-time supporter of wrestling with the PAA, the PWA, and the Virginia Duels. Bill is being presented with an Outstanding Achievement Award this Sunday, May 15th, at the Athletic Hall of Fame of the Lower Virginia Peninsula 2011 Hall of Fame Induction Banquet, which will be held down at the Boo Williams Sports Complex. So congratulations to Bill for all his hard work in wrestling. I think whenever you think of wrestling around Poquoson, he's one of the names that comes to the top of everybody's mind. That's awesome.
Thank you for pointing that out. Quite an award for him. Bud?
Just a couple comments, Gene. First, I'd like to thank you for your very eloquent analysis of the city's budget and how it got to where it is. Certainly, I don't like to see the tax rate increase any more than anyone else. But you stated we started at $1.12. We went way down, and now we're coming back. We don't like to do that, but you put it in perspective when comparing the city of Poquoson to the various other cities. One thing about your comments is that it's something started by Mayor Gordon Helsel, and it's continued by you, is that the city government is a very open city government, okay? It's plain and clear how we got here from there. And I think it's a testament to our city manager and our city employees that we have maintained the city budget and spending to the low levels that we have. So thank you again for those comments, and thank the city employees and the city manager for their fine work.
Thank you, Bud.
And I'll echo the comments that have already been made about the budget as well. I think I don't like budget season. I'm not sure if you all enjoy it, but it's not fun for me.
It's the highlight of the year.
And I think we've done as well as we can with what we have. So I appreciate the hard work as well, and thank you. I wanted to point out a couple of things. The Poquoson High School Drama Department is presenting a play, American Idol, starting this Thursday at 7:30 p.m., Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then there's a matinee on Sunday at 2. It's a comedy, American IDLE instead of Idol. I'm not sure if it's a musical, but I'd encourage people to support the high school in that. There's a fundraiser for Kids Island on Wednesday, May the 11th at the Women's Club on Cedar Road from 7 to 9 p.m. They're trying, it's one of the Gold Guru things, and I think they were going to have tables, but I'm just trying to get people involved. And finally, the Kiwanis Barbecue. It's that time again this Saturday. Will be at Taylor's Do It Center parking lot, where we've changed locations. And it is May the 21st, not this Saturday, I'm sorry, May the 21st from 11 to 5:30. And I have advance sale tickets for sandwiches or dinners if you want. They're 50 cents off in advance. So I invite everybody to come.
Mr. Mayor, before I forget, I'd like to make one more comment.
Yes, sir.
That's that, I think it's written down, and I think it's been said, but we need to go back and revisit the boat tax rate. That was a point that's well made, and I think we need to do that. And I want a note to be made of that so that does not fall through the cracks.
He's got it on his paper.
Number 5.
Gary?
I don't think I can add to what's been said. It doesn't feel good to vote for an increase, but I think it's been explained as good as it can be done. That's all.
Okay. And I will tell the citizens that we're not, now that the 2012 budget is set, that we'll be starting on the 2013 budget
Tomorrow morning?
The economy is not getting better, and government is, we're basically at the tail end. I will tell you that you have a very strong and city fiscally. We have a nice unappropriated fund balance. We can handle emergencies. We cannot handle many more state cuts and many more federal loss of dollars. I'll review that with any citizen that needs to understand what we've lost from the state and how we've absorbed those losses. My congratulations are actually out to the school board for bringing us a budget that this council did not argue with this year. They were very fiscally conservative. We are in debt. We are going to be one of the only localities, I think, to give a small, and when I say small, about a 1% raise to our teachers. So that is, and that's because they haven't had a raise now in about 3 years. With that said, Randy and Teresa, thank you for this budget. A lot of hard work, answering a lot of questions from the council. We appreciate that hard work. And as always, the one thing that was so important to us was to be able to trust the numbers. And we certainly trust the numbers when y'all are involved and when the staff is involved. So we appreciate that. Okay. With that, I guess we have a closed session.
A short closed session.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we convene a closed session pursuant to sections 2.2, 3711A1 and A3 of the Code of Virginia 1950, as amended to discuss personnel matters and the acquisition of real property for a public purpose and disposition of publicly held real property, i.e. with Creek Road.
Did you want to change it to a short session?
Yeah.
I'll amend my second to include that.
Okay.
Councilman Green?
Aye.
Councilman Bernal?
Aye.
Councilman Krieger?
Aye.
Councilman Southall?
Aye.
Councilwoman Crawford?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Freeman?
Aye.
And Mayor Hunt.
Aye.
Mr. Mayor, the motion carries by a vote of 7-0.
Short. You wanted to be short.